If you just hear the word servant, what comes into mind? I'm not sure about yours because I have a limited amount of time. I'll just say what comes into mind. Servant matlab knocker. अच्छा, knocker leadership. Yeah, I think I don't connect with leadership with knocker or servant. You see that the society, the real meaning of servant is very, very deep. But if you just observe the people's thought process when it comes to servant is what they see, right? In movies you see that we have a lot of servants. You say कि अच्छा हमारे बड़े घर में 10 नौकर हैं, 10 servants, we have all those stuff. Or you say helpers these days, sophisticated words. But subconsciously, if you observe, many of you will have a tendency to see servant as something lower grade position. People say कि as IAS officers are very, very respected and all those stuff, but they have this tag called public servant. That means they should be public knocker. They should be in publics, and those things. And those lower grade thoughts deteriorates us to the true meaning of servant leadership. If you ever think of starting your organization, especially voluntary organization, the only leadership would work is servant leadership. Because servant leadership is the only way where you think about the welfare of your team or welfare of your community first, then comes to you. And the best example I will take, I think it will be more clear to you, is what our late Mother Teresa did. For 45 years, she dedicated herself to charity and children's care. And that amount of years created an impact where we call her amazing leadership style. And this is where the servant leader gets born. But if you see servant leadership in the corporate, very rare. Because corporate में अगर servant leadership आ जाएगा फिर तो culture ही बदल जाएगा. And that's the whole idea. You have to be aware of where do you need to use the servant leadership, adequate amount of time, so that you have a proper balance of what kind of leadership style you would take. And that is where you'll come to the awareness of it. I'll quickly share about around 8 qualities which will help you to create that leadership style in you, and you can also rate yourself how many points you would give you in that particular leadership style. And ultimately, finally I'll give you how this leadership can be a habitual process for you. Okay, without no delay, I'll just share the 8 points. The first point is to genuinely listen to people. In fact, there's a beautiful quote: a good speaker is a good listener, and also a good leader is a good follower. So if you're a good speaker, you're actually a good listener. If you're not a listener, that means you have to reflect yourself. Maybe am I speaking correct or not? It's all interrelated. And definitely a good leader is a good follower. If you're a good follower, automatically you will bring out those qualities and people also would start following you as well. The second point, develop and be conscious and empathy with time. Why did I put with time? I don't think many of us, maybe 90% of us, have pure empathy, because it's humanly impossible to have purely empathy. And empathy is seen eventually to the process when you grow old, or maybe after 40 years, 50 years, you see the person is quietly patient and try to understand the feeling, or the person is part of the coaching and mentoring community, has been coaching for 10, 12 years, 13 years or 14 years, like Vijay or maybe John C. Maxwell or Tony Robbins. From then we expect some empathy as well. But in a normal sense, it is a very, very, very tough skill to master. And if you just be conscious about it, practice on a regular basis, this becomes an habit, and you grow with time and create more empathy with time. It is a not overnight process. The third point, are you caring for your team members' growth? The whole servant leadership style determines what my team member is actually growing or not. The moment you are a manager at your companies, or you have a family to take care of it, automatically stuff comes कि अच्छा मेरे बच्चे अच्छे होने चाहिए, my kids should grow well, my wife should grow well, my parents should have everything in their hand, my people should get everything, best possible thing in their life. If that attitude comes automatically towards all kind of people around your community, trust me, your servant leadership around this quality is getting developed very nicely. If it is happening to only specific people, maybe there is some connection gap, maybe you're not creating a caringness towards those people. The fourth point, are you developing your adversity or EQ? EQ is very deep. I would not go. In fact, Nikita is also there. Nikita is quite expert to talk about EQ quotient. But for me, the EQ and adversity is very, very simple. While tough times are higher, are you calm or are you stressed? Are you reacting or are you responding? Just like what Ash said. The fifth point, do you have influencing skills? You have servant leadership. You have a cause beyond you. But are you able to use that cause and influence smart people around you to focus on the mission? That is an art. It can only come while you practice and you believe in the cause. So your cause has to be greater than you, because if the cause is greater than you, the conviction would come from within, and you would not compare yourself or yourself with anyone else, because there will never a skill gap anymore. The cause is much beyond human being. The cause is much beyond individual. The cause will always drive you. So check about it if you have a cause to fight for. The sixth one, be outcome oriented and big picture thinking. This is straightforward. Stephen Covey also says the first habit, be outcome oriented. Very deep talk. I won't talk much. But if you have a big picture thinking, then the passion and the fuel to drive towards the cause comes from the picture. Book Club has been running for almost 2 years, 107th time. PM has been running for 2.5 years. Vijay has been coming again and again every single week. I'm not even sure. Sometimes people ask me, Vijay ko yaar zukham wukam hota hai ki nahi? Did he even get sick? Only in this year once he took off for his health. But in the last 2 years, you'll never find him sick, because his cause was so greater. Which anything comes to him, gets scared of out of the cause what Vijay has. So that's the power of having big picture thinking. The seventh point, regular reflection and accepting feedbacks. This is the most difficult, at least for me, it is so difficult coming from a deep personal characteristics, deep character personality, taking a constructive feedback properly and removing that feedback out of a person. Especially when the feedback comes from your loved ones, my natural tendency goes, why that person is telling to me like that? Instead of taking the feedback as a feedback, I get defensive and I talk to the person with hurt or aggression, which comes naturally. Then I realize, oh man, after 30 minutes, after 1 hour, I realize, what did I do? I shouldn't have reacted like that. And suddenly, because of awareness, because of the community I have, suddenly I get the awareness. I'll apologize to my loved one. I'm really sorry. I was feeling attacked, so I was defensive. But my motto was not that. I really want to understand what is your feedback and where are you coming from, because I want to improve. I want to grow. Are you conscious about that? The last one, is your community growing with you? This is my favorite, because while you are growing, well and good, absolutely awesome. But if you have a greater cause, you will also make sure the community is growing with you. Sometimes this few of the qualities which is beyond you may not be applicable in your corporate, because of a simple reason. If the CEO starts thinking about all people will become too complacent, and while fear drives people to do work, they'll start taking the leader or taking the CEO for granted, and they won't even do work. So that is always a fear. How does the company or the corporate perform? Because they have to bring profit, they have to make sure your salary is in time. So the stress level at bigger level is very, very high. So the proper balance of servant leadership, or we call as a transformational leadership at democratic level, has to be balanced at the right space and the right time. And that's where you as a leader have to take a conscious decision. How do you switch your gear, with whom and where? And that's all about it, servant leadership. So I hope it added some value. Just quick summary of all of the points. Genuinely listen to people, develop and be conscious in empathy with time. Are you caring for your team members' growth? Are you developing adversity quotient or EQ? Do you have influencing skills? Be outcome oriented, regular reflection and accepting feedbacks. Is your community growing with you? And these are the 8 points for all of you. Last but not the least, I'll just share one photo of you. When do you know you've developed this skill? The first is when you're unconscious and unskilled. So you're not conscious about it, all of these habits or skills, and you're already not skilled. So you're level 0. Level 1, you're conscious and unskilled. Many of you, including me, could be in this level. We are now conscious. We have all 8 points. But we are not skilled enough to try that in our society, in our corporate, anywhere you're associated with. The third point, you're conscious and you're skilled. This is a better way, because now you're conscious as well. You're also skilled. The only challenge comes at the right moment of time. You're not applying your skills there. The timing plays a huge important role. So you have the skills, you have everything, but at that particular time, you spoil everything. So maybe that is the room of improvement, where you know everything, you are skilled as well how to perform that kind of activity, but you're not able to perform in the right amount of time. The final thing, which is very powerful, is you're unconscious and skilled. And things come so naturally to you. You're aware about all the situations, and you take the right decisions and right skills, and you apply the right things at a time. So that's why we all could grow together, because even I'm not perfect. I'm also part of, like all of you in the journey to go towards unconscious and unskilled towards unconscious and skilled. So I hope this added some value to all of you.